my opinion now is that, our souls come here for a learning journey, and that everything that's kind of in our life, it's almost like an obstacle course to teach us certain things. I believe that life is a school and we're learning powerful lessons. And so I feel like everything was sort of put in place for me to be stopped by this, literally to be put inside of a box, and for me to be in this like psychic hold of like, you can't do anything about this. All those skills that you had prior of pushing and getting through and using your intellect and all of that, like, it's not good here.
Welcome to All Can, No Can't, the podcast where we toss out excuses, face our fears, and reclaim control. I'm Jeff Luther, your guide to mastering the chaos and turning obstacles into opportunities. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating the ups and the downs of building a successful business, or someone ready to rewrite the rules of your life, this is your space to grow, to push boundaries, and to embrace doing the hard shit that leads to greatness. Together, we'll explore stories of resilience, strategies for overcoming, and the mindset shifts that let you build a life on your terms. I use my experience with a life-altering diagnosis to help you find the can in every can't. So buckle up, because it's time to stop living in can't and start thriving in all can. You choose. Welcome back to All Can, No Can't. I'm your host, Jeff Luther, and this is the podcast where we turn obstacles into opportunities. And living that is the guest that's with us this week, Danielle Matthews. Danielle is someone who's turned trauma into transformation. And that's our thing here. Find that opportunity in the obstacle. And I'm so impressed with her story. She had traumatic brain injury when she was 23. She was hit by a drunk driver, which is compounds it in my mind. That's personal for me. But within that accident, she found new wiring. Today, she runs Brain Body Self, and she shares her inner management mastery framework, helping people heal, optimize their brains and their bodies, and reconnect with purpose. Danielle is a clear voice in the overlap of neuroscience, mindset, and reinvention. I'm excited for what she has to share with us, and I'm anxious to talk to her. So Danielle, thank you so much for the time, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh, Jeff, I got so excited when I saw the name of your show. I was like, yes. And then everything you talk about, I went, yes. This is like in alignment with my life's purpose. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I almost said it was fun reading through your bio. It wasn't. But like, the fun stuff is in there. I so appreciate it. And I can also tell you that I appreciate how hard it is. And I think yours is not probably, brain injury is so much more difficult. You have so much more to overcome, I think. Did you ever feel that way?
Oh, yeah. I thought that there was no way out. I mean, it was interesting. So I got hit. I was teaching at the time. I was teaching sixth grade math.
Tell me about your life before the accident.
Oh, okay. So, prior to the accident, my life was like pretty normal. I grew up in Maryland. I played a lot of sports. Went to college in Virginia, University of Virginia. I graduated like with distinction. I've always done well in school, done well in sports. It was like, every quarter I was doing a different sport. And after I graduated, I got a degree in biology. I've always been like super curious about how the body works and just how everything works. Like, my mind is just very, very curious. And after I graduated, I went and did Teach for America, which it was like kind of like a break for me before I was thinking, I'll go to grad school. I'm going to kind of keep on that route. And Teach for America takes you and it puts you in a low income area, either rural or urban, where good teachers aren't wanting to go, and to help kind of close the achievement gap in our country, because it's very real. And I was placed there teaching math. So sixth grade math was the assignment.
And biology is your love.
Yes. And it was interesting. They said, look, if you have a degree in something specific, I was like, why aren't you having me teach science? They said, you know it too well. And so it can be difficult to break it down into the basics. And so we have you do something that's like tangentially related. And so that's why they had me do math, which is interesting because I've always loved math. And yeah, that's what I was doing. I was teaching. I just finished my second year, and it was summertime. I was home with family. I just spent the night with a friend in Baltimore City for his birthday. I was waking up. It was like 7 a.m. going to meet my parents to go to a wedding. And this guy was just out the night before, passed out behind the wheel and hit me head on. And Everything changed from there.
Oh, this was 7 a.m.
Yeah, it was morning time.
Oh, wow. And just to frame this up, like physically, you were into sports, you were
Oh yeah,
you
peak of health.
yeah.
Yeah, I was on the snowboard team at UVA, and it was so fun because when I graduated, a whole bunch of us like moved out to Colorado. I just got placed out there. I was in Denver teaching,
Oh,
and
no
a bunch of
kidding.
my friends got placed out there, like with from various career choices and options and whatever. We were just all there, and so we on the weekends we had a place up in Breckenridge that we rented out, and so I'd be snowboarding on the weekends, teaching during the week, and life was full. It was wonderful. I felt like I'd found my lane. I love to teach. I could see the impact. It's like, it's so wonderful when you can do something and immediately see the results. Like, I knew if I spent a little bit longer on the lesson plan, I could see it click with the kids faster, and like we're getting results in the classroom. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would say
So
I was living my dream at the time.
it's actually it sounds very dreamy. Uh, you were up like North Denver, Colfax, Spear, up in that area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was near Sloan's Lake,
Got you.
right on
Yeah.
the lake, actually. Yeah.
Um, so then you were hit, life changed.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the moment, I didn't realize it had changed so drastically. Uh, it's it's like well, so paramedics came to the scene, and they asked me, they said, like I was sitting on the ground, and
You were
I come out of the
conscious.
car. I was conscious, yeah. So let me back up a little bit. I got hit head on.
Okay.
I have a vivid memory of like the car hitting and then like it continuing to go. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, my dad's gonna kill me. Like this guy is driving away. Like that's the first thought I have in my brain, which is like such a random thought, but that's what I thought. And then all of a sudden, down the road further, the car veered off. And what I believe happened is the guy finally woke up and turned the wheel and he went off the road. But
Yeah.
there were a bunch of runners that happened to be on the road, like 10 of them. They were jogging that morning. And so, like, half of them ran to me, half ran to him. They got me out of the car and sat me down. They called 911. Like, they took care of everything because I was just like out of it. I'd never been in an accident before. And in fact, when the paramedics came, they said, like, how are you? They're checking me out. And I'm like, well, I got some like scrapes and stuff. Like, the airbag had gone off, so I had burns from the airbag and my knee was already bruising because it had hit the steering column. And they said, okay, well, you seem fine. And I said, yeah, I'm just like a little out of it. And they said, oh, it's a shock. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I've never had shock before. Like I guess I'm
Yeah.
in shock. And then they left. So they didn't even take me in, which is kind of crazy. In fact, it still to this day kind of blows my mind. But anyway, my parents came and they were like, you're not okay. This isn't you. And they took me into an urgent care. And
That is wild.
yeah,
I cannot believe that.
I know. I've done some talks with paramedics since then to just like educate because I'm like, look, guys, brain injury is not visible. And if someone is saying that they're not okay and they can't answer certain questions or do something, like there's stuff you can test for. So many paramedics were like horrified that whoever came that day didn't do that with them. They're like, just looking at your car, we would have required you to come in. Like the car was totaled.
That's what I was about to say. Like even a mild head-on collision is going to tell me to take you to the hospital.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a conundrum, but anyway, my parents took me, thank goodness. And the irony is that urgent care was next to a concussion clinic, and the urgent care people missed it too. They said, "Oh, she's just in shock." They gave me like a medicine that would help with inflammation. They said, "Oh, she's gonna have whiplash, and like she's not gonna feel okay tomorrow, but like she's fine. She's just in shock." Okay. So, so very clearly, very quickly, I was like, I was, I couldn't handle light. I couldn't handle noise. My personality had changed completely. I was really short with people. I was like, everything was coming in and it felt like at the same level. Like I was hearing the AC and I was hearing like the knife and fork on the dinner plate and people were trying to talk. And I was just like, I can't. And I thankfully, my parents said, okay, something's very wrong, and took me to my primary care. He said, you've had a head injury. You need to go to a neurologist. Finally got in with a neurologist, but I mean, it was a month before we
That's what I was going to ask what the time span was.
had. It was a
Because
month.
the concussion, like short term for a concussion, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to noise, right? And that's like 24 to 48 hours you watch people. Is that right? Does that sound right?
Typical, yeah. And the thing with like each brain injury is so unique and so different, but typically these things will resolve in 24 to 48 hours, if not that, a week or two. My neurologist, and this is kind of the crazy part, is he's like, "Oh, it should have cleared up in a month. Since it hasn't, it'll just be 3 months." And I was like, "Okay." So I went back to work. Like it was time, it was fall. It was time to go back. And I'm like, it was taking me 12 hours to make a lesson plan because I couldn't concentrate. And, my principal was like, well, just do it from home. Like, don't come in. And then first day came with kids, and I got in the front of the classroom and I couldn't handle the noise, couldn't handle the lights, couldn't remember what I had just said, couldn't remember the kids' names. I went to my principal and I was like, oh, we got a problem. And because when you have a head injury, like you lose the ability to kind of look and go, this isn't normal, you know?
Yeah.
I was just kind of
But
like, well, I'm tired, I'm gonna nap, I don't feel good, I'll do that later. Like it was a mess.
no, passing judgment on you based on what your backstory. So you're an athlete, new sport every quarter, probably pretty high performer. So I'm guessing that you weren't accepting
Oh
that there was any other option but to work and
no.
just work through it.
Oh, 100%. I was like, I'll push through. Like I can grit and bear it,
Yeah.
like this is just how it is. I for sure being an athlete was the reason I was able to kind of keep going. I think, and I was in my 20s. My parents didn't have much say about it. They were like, my parents now are like, Danielle, we couldn't believe you got on that airplane to go back to work. Like we knew it was a problem, but like you had to figure out it was a problem. So it's I went on a medical leave. There's not much you can do for brain injury back then. This is 2012. It was just kind of becoming a topic that people were talking about more and more because of our veterans, because of the NFL. Um,
Yeah.
and there weren't a lot of tests even to show that I had had trauma because mine was classified as a mild traumatic brain injury, a mild TBI. It's like an oxymoron because there's nothing mild about it.
I'm sitting here going mild traumatic. That's mild
Yeah,
traumatic. That's mild.
exactly, Jeff.
Okay.
I'm like, those two words should never be together. But I didn't have a brain bleed. So, and I didn't have a coma. And so it could have been way worse than it was. And in fact, the doctor said to me, Danielle, we try to get people with brain injury to where you are. And I'm like, well, I can't function in society. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? And they said, well, after 3 months, oh, it'll clear up in 6 months. And then at my 1 year appointment, they said to me, well, Danielle, with this type of injury, your body's done all the healing it's going to do, and this is just your new normal. And,
Whoa. And was it still the same height and everything's still heightened at the same level?
everything was still hiding the same level. I mean, maybe if I had been like a 10 out of 10 with everything so intense, we'd gotten to maybe an 8 out of 10. Like there'd been a little bit of progress. I did hyperbaric oxygen treatments, HBOT, 40 hours of that. I did neurobiofeedback, which made a big difference. But again, 10 to an 8, like and an 8 is
Yeah,
still
that's hard to
can't
say.
like
Did you go from a 10 to an 8 because you got used to it, or
could be also, yeah,
yeah,
could be also. You get a little used to it, but I mean, you can't really adapt to these things. Like I tried, trust me, I tried, but like you physically can't. It's like I was so exhausted all of the time. You're
yeah,
just natural light felt like a flashlight in my eye. I'd go to the grocery store and it is the most overstimulating thing. I mean, every color, lights, people, I would be
yeah.
wiped out for the day. Like one activity in a day, it's just not good. Not a good way to live.
So then what did you do? Like when did you decide, and you may not know this, is like asking someone when they decided to be gay, right? Like when did you decide whether were you going to accept it or not accept it? Like when did you?
Well, it was interesting. It was actually when that doctor said to me, "This is your new normal." And something broke, but in a good way inside of me. Like, because
Okay.
up to that point, I had been resisting my reality, saying, I'll push through it. I can get past this.
Yeah.
And I had also felt like a victim, like, well, this shouldn't have happened to me. I didn't deserve it. All of those thoughts. And people were saying it to me in all good meaning. It's fine. But like when you're a victim, you have no power. You can't do anything. And so
Right.
I found myself sort of in this situation of, okay, if he's telling me that this is my reality, I refuse to believe that. Like something inside of me said, you're going to get better. And so I was like, all right, this guy's fired. We don't need him in our world anymore. I'm going to get better. But what if he's right? What if for the next year or two or five, this is my reality. Like something's got to give because I was becoming suicidal. Like
Yeah.
I'm watching friends of mine continue on. Like I went to a really good school and I knew a lot of very high performing people. And so they're going now and they're getting their MBAs at Harvard, at Yale. I had several friends going on to become doctors. Several went to get PhDs. Like, so they're, in all of the way that society says success is happening, they're all succeeding. Where am I? I'm like on the sidelines, and I'm being told you're not going to be able to engage back in life. I had lost my ability to earn an income. I had lost my independence. I had to move back in with my family. I didn't have a plan B
Oh,
at 23. You know
gosh.
what I mean? And so every time it was like my path was slipping away. They're saying, well, you can never snowboard again. If you hit your head again, like you'll get this and worse. Like you need to just
Yeah.
get rid of these, like that idea, which that was like my joy.
Right.
So all of this stuff, it was like everything was slipping away more and more. And then my future, it was just like complete unknown. And so I just said, okay, uh, I want to stay on this earth. I don't want to leave. So what am I going to do? And I just had this realization that I need to stop listening to my thoughts. That was the realization. And I said, they're not helpful. They're causing me to be miserable. Like when I think about the past, I get depressed. When I think about the future, I literally have a panic attack. So we got to be right here, right now. And I'm going to cut the thoughts off when they come. That's what I had to do. And it was literally out of necessity. I didn't realize that was like a spiritual practice. I didn't realize the power of being present. I didn't realize any of that. It was just like pure necessity, like survival.
Yours was survival.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I do.
What people go to retreats and spend tens of thousands of dollars to have someone tell them.
Yes.
You learned on your own as a survival instinct. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like, and it was that people are like, oh, you're so impressive. It's so inspirational. I'm like, no, it was survival. Like it was none of those things. It was interesting. It wasn't until, I mean, I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but it wasn't until I got better and I started kind of meeting some people and they were saying to me, your story is so inspirational. And I looked at them like they were absolutely nuts. And I was like, what in the hell is inspiring about what I went through? I
Wow.
survived it. Like, wouldn't you have done the same? And interestingly, no. Like some people are like, I would have quit, Danielle. Like I don't think I have that kind of drive in me. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it's like so I relate stories like that to and people that say, well, I'm not, I don't take risk. Or, well, yeah, you do. You just don't recognize it. It becomes the status quo for you. Like the 5 minute mile. I was talking to this kid that ran track at Emory one afternoon. I forget what it was just nonsense. And so I asked him what his mile time was, and he was like 4:47 or 4:57, whatever the number was. And I was like, holy shit, you run a sub 5 mile? And he's like, yeah. And I'm going, man, I don't know anyone that runs a sub 5 mile. I see him on TV. And
yeah,
that's amazing. He's like, yeah, everybody does. So for you, yeah, your story is amazing. And for you to have the survival skill to just cut those thoughts off is amazing. But to you, it's just normal. You're like, anybody would do it.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know even know where it came from. I think it's like that's the gift of, I mean, I don't know your thoughts, but my opinion now is that, our souls come here for a learning journey and that everything that's kind of in our life, it's almost like an obstacle course to teach us certain things. I believe that life is a school and we're learning powerful lessons. And so I feel like everything was sort of put in place for me to be stopped by this, literally to be put inside of a box and for me to be in this like psychic hold of like, you can't do anything about this. All those skills that you had prior of pushing and getting through and using your intellect and all of that, like, it's not good here. What can you do now? You have to go internal. You have to realize you were more than your thoughts. That was the like epiphany that came out of it for me. And again, it was out of necessity because I was boxed in and I was like, well, I'm gonna find happiness inside of this box. I don't want to be here, but fine, there's new rules on life and we're gonna find happiness inside of this. And that's how I kind of looked at it. And it wasn't until like a couple years later, I so what had happened was I couldn't work, right, because of everything going on. But my mom had a friend who was writing a book, and she needed to cite research for how guided meditation was helping people's like on the physical level. Like she studied yogic philosophy. She needed to explain like what the West was finding for it, and having a degree in biology, I'm like I can do that. And it was a year-long project. She's like, Danielle, 20 minutes a day. I'm like, okay. Yes, like give me some sense of purpose again. So I started doing that. When we finished that project, she said, if you ever want to get certified in yoga nidra, the guided meditation, she said, I would be happy to like scholarship you into that, to offer you that for free as a thank you for all your help. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I kind of wrote it off. And I was like, I don't think it's for me, but thanks.
Hmm.
And then I ended up, we're fast forwarding a little bit, but this is just interesting. I ended up moving to Florida, and I remember her saying that she was in Florida, and I called her and I said, hey, I'm kind of starting a new chapter of life down here. I remember you saying that you taught here, and she said, oh, Danielle, the training is happening in 10 days. I'm 2 hours from where you just moved. There's one spot left. And I was like, oh, done. I'm
Oh,
coming.
wow.
Yeah. And I sat there the first day. I walked onto the grounds of an ashram. I didn't even know what an ashram was. And I sat there, and this is how she started the day. She said, close your eyes. And she said, I want you to picture yourself on a beach. And you're just standing there on the beach. It's you, the beach, and the water as far as you can see out to the horizon. And then a boat comes in, it's coming from the right, and the boat is moving through. And all of a sudden, it's all you could see. This boat, it's huge, but it's moving, and it continues moving through. And now it's gone. It's just you, the beach, and the water. And she had us open her eyes, and she said, are you the boat? And I was like, what a silly question. Like, where am I? What am I doing here?
That's
And
just
yeah, and I'm like, no, obviously we're not the boat, right? We're the ones standing on the boat, on the beach, watching the boat. Like, yes, it came into our vision. Yes, it took over our vision, but we were the witness to it. And she said, what the yogis would say is that the same is true for our thoughts. Is it not true that you are the one that is there before, during, and after every thought? And she said, that realization, Yogi spent years contemplating if there was a single truth that, if known, would resolve everything, what would that truth be? And that truth is to realize you are not your thoughts. And I went, holy cow. I had the same realization. I was like, yes, yes, that was liberating for me. And so I sat straight up, and for the next 10 days, I listened and I learned all of this yogic philosophy. And it was like, man, if they figured that out, which I knew how liberating that had been for my own life, what else did they know? What else
Was
had they
that the
created?
first, was that the first time that you actually made the correlation? Like,
Yeah. It was the first time that like someone else put into words what I had done and
yeah,
realized, you know what I mean? It was like, again, because for me, it was survival. It was out of necessity.
just
Get rid of the thought,
internal.
and I went, yeah, that's exactly right. And so who is that one that's behind it? Like, what is that? And that's where, it's big spiritual awakening. I mean, that was just beautiful.
Yeah. So would you say that's the first time that you realized that you needed to do the work from the inside?
Well, I think I had been
I'm
doing
putting
because
words into
of,
your mouth. Sorry. Like,
no, it's okay. It's a good question, but it's like I think I had been figuring it out, kind of like stumbling in the dark on my own. Again, this like survival instinct, or whatever instinct I had inside of me, or whatever, my soul was trying to like tap on my shoulder and say, "Hello, Danielle, like look over here." So I'd been figuring it out on my own. I would say that was the first time that I had a teacher that could explain to me what
uh,
I was going through, what
oh,
what I was touching behind my thoughts, like what that was, and also then give me tools like modalities to continue to cultivate that and actually understand why things like meditation was even invented. What that's helping you do. Things like even just as simple as like a yoga pose where I'd always just said, oh, it's like exercise, whatever, to help flexibility, whatever. No. Like, absolutely not. Like, get this, Jeff. So in a yoga pose, let's say I had you like stand and put your hands over your head, like that. And
okay.
you
So,
know, everyone's,
so I
go.
know some, you can name one. I wonder if I could tell you what it is. I know Peaceful Warrior. I know that.
Well, there you go. So let's say you're in warrior, right? Or you're in warrior
Okay.
pose. And what happens? You stand there and all of a sudden, you start to feel like an edge pop up where you're like, how long am I gonna have to be here? Like this is getting
Yeah. Yeah.
comfortable, and your teacher's like, breathe, breathe. So what most of us think is like, oh, it's just helping me get stronger. It's helping me be flexible. No, the idea is like the yoga pose is meant to box you in. It's meant to say, no, hold here, stay here, feel that reaction come up internally where your mind says, I don't want to do this. I want something else. I'm not okay with this. It's chatty. And then can you pull back from that and be at peace? Can you find stillness beneath the chatter of the mind? That's why you do a yoga pose. Like, and most people are comparing to how they're doing it compared to their neighbor. Like, they're so in their heads. They're just totally missing the point. The point is supposed to be for you to be able to cultivate this ability to pull back from difficulties, challenges, the chatter of the mind, so that then when you get out there into life and life boxes you in, like
Right.
life did for me, you're able to cultivate this ability of, let me go beyond my thoughts, let me find inner calm here, and let me figure out from a peaceful, calm place what to do next. That's what it's designed for. But it's like, if you don't know that, sure, you can get some health benefits from yoga, but like, you're supposed to be getting a way bigger benefit
Right.
from this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that. And yoga is hard for me. And that's probably one of the reasons why.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Are you feeling stuck? Overwhelmed? It's like you're fighting against something that you can't even see or name. I've been there, literally. I survived sudden cardiac death and I rebuilt everything. I've mastered the art of controlling the chaos. Now I coach a small group of high performers that are willing to do the work to do the same thing. No fluff, no excuses, we just get results. If you're ready to take back control, apply now at jeffluther.com. This is all can, no can. So then could you say that that would have been a moment that, because for me, like a lot of the folks that I talk to and for myself, like there's that defining moment when you almost just snap back, so to speak. So would you say that in a way that might be where you snapped back? And it sounds like it would be hard to explain with logic.
Yeah, it was like, I think I awakened to something way bigger. Like, something changed inside of me for sure. And as I was healing and getting better, it was like I didn't fit into the old Danielle. Like, this, I attempted, even like old friendships, and and it was like, this life doesn't fit anymore. Something has shifted so dramatically inside of myself. Like I don't look at anything the same anymore. And it's been hard. I think it's been hard for some, it's hard for me, to like look at things like and be completely different, but also the same. Like, I'm the same Danielle, but it's like a new version, a better version. I'm happier now than I ever was before. And I like have an appreciation. I live way more in the present moment. I'm like so much more at peace. Like, I don't engage in the drama of stuff. I'm like, what's the point of all of that? I've realized that there's just way more important things to be doing with our time here. So yeah, I would say that, you know, obviously the doctor telling me that was the number one of like this internal shift that happened. And then I think the next kind of big moment was meeting, her name's Kamini Desai, meeting her and understanding the spiritual teachings and what was really going on. They call it the dark night of the soul. I'd never heard that term before. And it's this concept that's talked about in spiritual worlds, of like going through this moment where everything is dissolving. They describe it as like your ego mind is literally like going through crisis because it's dissolving. So my ego had been, and I thought that Danielle was the straight A student, the snowboarder, the one that was helping kids, like the best friend, all of that was Danielle. And after my accident, all of those things went away. And it was like, well, who am I? If I'm not all those things, who?
Yeah.
And when you're in a dark room in bed for over a year by yourself, like, you contemplate stuff like this because you have nothing to distract you. I couldn't listen to music, couldn't watch TV. Like, you're just there with your thoughts. So, it was really interesting to then contemplate this. Well, who am I and why am I here and what's the purpose of this whole life? And then to understand that this is like questions that people have asked in sort of the spiritual side of life that I had never dabbled in before, and other people had asked these questions, and it's called the dark night of the soul. When the ego literally has to dissolve and you touch the soul, you touch the thing that is there beyond all of it. I didn't know what I was going through, but I walked through it, and then I had words for it after. And to not, we don't have to get into all that spiritual language, but to me, I think the concept of post-traumatic growth is something that we maybe more in the West can relate with, and I think should talk about more, which is, and I didn't know the term until someone said to me, oh, Danielle, your story is a story of post-traumatic growth. And I went, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
And it's like the story of exactly, what you showcase on your show. It's like it's taking trauma, it's taking difficult things and saying, this isn't going to break me. It's going to break me open into a new version of me. I'm going to use it to propel me in a new way. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be grateful for the difficulty.
And yeah, and the question, yeah, you say, who am I when you were going through that dark time? But is a more appropriate question maybe, who am I becoming?
Yeah, that is it is. Yeah. Who am I becoming? Who am I? Why am I here? And also, what's the point? Where am I going? And who am I becoming? It's
Right. Yeah.
for sure.
And your story is so fascinating. And it's funny because when we think of like transformation or reinvention or something, there's always this glamorous transformation. I'm going to pay a coach 2,500 bucks a month for this transformation. But yours, and we think leveling up, right? And yours is the leveling up, but also letting go. Like you had to you really had to let go of some stuff.
Yeah. Complete
Straight A
surrender.
student, the athlete, the high performer.
Yeah.
What's something that you had to surrender that felt terrifying at the time?
Oh, well, I mean, as silly as this sounds, it was like selling my snowboard stuff, like equipment. Um,
Oh,
that was,
that sounds horrible.
yeah, it was. It was like, I mean, it's silly now to think about it, but it's like, I,
No, that gives me chills. I hate that for you, and you're laughing
yeah.
about it.
I
That-
know. Well, there's been time and space and understanding since then. But what happened? So it was really interesting. It was really interesting. So because I was in denial that this was going to be like a problem in my life for a long time. When I couldn't work after my medical leave and we realized like, okay, she's not better. I can't work. I didn't have an income. So I couldn't stay in my place. So I put everything in a storage unit. And then
oh,
after this doctor said to me, look, this is your new normal. Like, you're not coming back from this. I was like, okay, I've been paying for my stuff to sit in a storage unit, maybe. I refuse to believe this is forever, but maybe this doesn't make sense, to leave my stuff out there. So a friend of mine came out with me and we walked into the storage unit. And I remember just looking at all of this stuff. And it was like, this had been so important to me, like enough that I'd paid to keep it. And I'm like, why? Like it just all of it, there was no attachment to a lot of it. And my friend just helped me. We just sold. And then we had my snowboard gear. And I was like, whew, that's like really big to have to let go of. And he was so great. He'd been a friend of mine for a long time, like since, gosh, elementary school. And he was like, it's okay. Like if the day ever comes again, we can get you a new board, whatever. But like, it's okay to let go. Like just someone else is going to enjoy this. And it turned out like the principal at my school, his I think fiance at that point, now wife, was wanting to take up snowboarding. So I was able to give my stuff to her, and it was nice to see it go forward. And I left there with a suitcase. And ever since then, I do not get attached to physical things in the same way. It's like I think our society, like all the status symbols and this and that. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is your health. If you don't have that, literally none of it matters. And so now that I've gotten my health back, it's like I like when I say I've changed, it's like I don't care as much. Like, sure, that's nice. Like, do we really need it? You don't. Are you okay without it? Yeah, you're totally fine. That's why when we were talking about where do I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, I like it. It's like I don't need the people and the things and all that stuff. It's like I need nature, I need connection, like stuff that really fills my soul.
right. Yeah, it's interesting the stuff that we do. So, all right, like another question that I would have about rebuilding your identity.
Mhm.
Um, like how does it feel now? Like I don't know how to ask the question. Like you still remember the Danielle before. Everyone
Mhm.
still remembers the Danielle before.
Mhm.
Feel like that Danielle is still there, not there.
Yeah, she's like a better version of her. I think is what it is. It's like I've just become, prior to my accident, I was like a shell of myself. I didn't believe in myself very much. I didn't have much confidence. Even though I was, performing and doing all these things, it was like I was looking to the external for validation. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. And so
Mhm.
now this version of me, like, I don't need that. Nice to have it. Thanks. But like, I know, like, I'm so connected. It's like the confidence that's inside of me, the knowing of myself, that's what's shifted and is different. And it's so beautiful. That's why I'm able to look back and like you say, like, I'm smiling about stuff and I laugh because I'm like, wow, I have such gratitude for the journey. It was terrible at the time.
Yeah.
I have friends that were there with me through it, and they're like, Danielle, how do you just gloss over that? Like it was terrible. I watched, and I'm like, I know, but like how I am now, it was worth it. It's like, how they say pressure makes diamonds. It's a lot of
Right.
pressure,
Yep.
and it breaks, but then a diamond comes out, and it's like, well, it was worth it. It was
Yeah.
worth it.
Well, so I have a couple of questions around that. My first question would be, let's take the snowboard stuff when you're getting rid of that as an example. Did you feel a little bit like you were giving up, or do you even remember how you felt?
No, I did feel like a little bit like there was like some giving up. And
Or a quitter kind of?
Yeah, and it was just like I'm not okay with this. I don't want this to be my reality, but it was like again, like I'm in this I can't change anything. Like I have
Yeah.
tried to change, I've tried to push and like if they're saying if I hit my head again, it's going to get worse, that's
Yeah.
not worth it to me. So it was like, okay, fine. Because again, like
So,
when your health comes into question,
yeah.
the other things just don't matter as much.
Right. And I guess we both found ourselves in a position where we had to lock our ego down in a basement.
Yes, for
Because
sure.
that was, I'm again putting words into your mouth. Do you think that was a part of it? Was ego?
100%. Oh yeah, that is ego. 100%.
Yeah, that
And
sucks,
it's
huh?
like I didn't have that terminology. I didn't understand it at the time, but yes. And your ego does have to die. Like there has to be an ego death. I
Yeah.
thought that you say you had to put it in the basement. Like it has to go away for a little while. So that
I,
something else can emerge.
yeah. And I was on a run. This was about 2 or 3 years post event. And I realized when we fall, like, and you fell, I mean, clearly when this happened, and when we fall, our ego falls, but I think our ego falls faster and harder
Hmm.
than we do. And our ego doesn't have to get up and do it all over. We do. So if we stay attached to that ego, we stay down where our ego is.
Yeah.
So to your point, and I love the way you phrase it, yeah, your ego has to die.
Yeah.
Um, which is hard. I mean, it's hard. And
It's
the other part
everything.
about it, it makes it seem easy. It's not. It's so hard.
No, it's difficult to navigate, but meeting people and having conversations like this, like I felt like so lost. Like I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand actually the beauty of what was happening because when the ego does dissolve, like something else does emerge. And so beautiful things come from it. But if you don't have that guidance, it can be hard. I'll never forget, like I was going to therapy, like talk therapy, and my therapist said to me, he said, Danielle, at the end of this, you're not going to get some certification or certificate. You're not going to get some diploma. He said, what you're getting is an increase in emotional intelligence. He said, should you ever choose to have kids, you're going to be a better mother because of this. You're going to be a better partner because of this. Like you are
Yeah.
going to be more compassionate and understanding of other people because of what you've gone through and the awarenesses that are coming through. And for me at the time, I didn't really appreciate what he was saying. Like I didn't fully understand what he was saying, but it felt like he tied a rope or a knot at the end of my rope. And it was like, that's what I had to hold on to. And I just held on to it. Like, okay, something good is going to come from this. And that's what I hope a more conversation can be around because I think a lot of people get stuck in a in PTSD, right? All of us have some level of PTSD. We've all been through traumatic stuff, and mine came in the way that it came, yours came in the way that it came. All of us, it's different stuff. And some might seem bigger than others, but it's all the same to you. And I think a lot of us get stuck there. And again, we have these conversations. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's not fair. And we think we're being compassionate. But I think we need to turn to conversation and we need to say, no, 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 no. You're actually going through a pivotal moment. Like
Yeah.
you are being asked to grow, to shed something that's not serving you, to learn a different lesson. Like it's a gift in a very weird package, but it's making something possible. And so to have people kind of look up, like my therapist had me, of like, no, something good is going to come from this and shine the light there. and talk about those things, like examples of other people. That's why I'm so happy you have this show, because it's like we have to show that that's actually, it's a bridge. Like you're being offered that. But I think we
Yeah.
get too stuck down here. Um,
Yeah, so I was saving this, but I'd love to ask this question or to bring this up, and I'd love to hear your thought on it. Um, First, let me ask you this. For someone that's listening, and like with you, I'm sure that this happened to you. Like people say, "Oh yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I got hit in the head with a baseball and I couldn't see bright light for a day." You're like, "Oh yeah, I'm saying, yeah, I get it." Did that happen a lot, or would
yeah, yes. Well, actually, what people said to me that was more irritating was, "Oh, well, you look fine."
Oh, don't get me started on that.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, "Thanks, I'm not."
yeah, yeah, because I'm lying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um,
It was great. Well, so, I mean, with the concussion world, I was in a speech pathologist's office doing testing. And she says to me, it's really interesting. These people with concussion, they lie all the time. They lie on these tests to make it seem like they're worse than they are. They're fine. And I looked at her and I said, we're not fine. We look fine. It's not working in there. They're not lying. And I was just like, it was crazy to me that this
wow.
person in this position could have that thought. But it's like, yeah, there are injuries that are invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with someone that's listening, and this is how like someone that's listening that's been through trauma, big or small, because it's all pain, right? Like when
Yeah.
people would come to me and they say, "Oh, I know what it's like because one time I hurt my elbow, but it's not a heart." I'm like, you know what? Pain is pain, whether it's your toe, whatever. Pain is pain, right?
Hmm.
Um, what is, and this is off script for sure, you may not have an answer, but what's a healthy conflict that you would suggest that they lean into instead of avoid?
Mm, let me see if I can answer this. Like what's coming to me is like triggers are your teachers. So I actually embrace all conflict. So the way I kind of look at it is like every interaction is revealing something inside of me. So I now have the perspective that everything that's unfolding in my life is happening in that way for a reason. Mostly to maybe wake me up to some things I haven't realized yet, and I went through the big thing I went through, but even the little things, so an argument or something happens and like you get ticked off, right? Oh, it should have been this way, could have been that. Why'd you do that? All those things. What I now do is, and what I would encourage you all to do, is to look at it as a moment of reflection. So if I could give an analogy, this might help. Like think about a garden, if there's seeds planted, whatever, how do you know what you planted? Well, when the right amount of water and sunshine, everything else happens, the right weather, they'll grow and then you'll see what's in the garden. I would put forth, Jeff, that all of us have seeds inside of us, undigested stuff from our past, different traumas we've been through, things that are there. And so when the right weather patterns happen in our life, for me, massive car accident, right? But I'm talking about little things too. Like they didn't do the dishes and they said they were going to do the dishes, and I'm ticked, right?
Yeah,
So they've created a weather pattern. And what has happened is that this seed, this unresolved thing inside of me, has actually grown. And so, what I feel as a reaction, and it's so easy to put it external because we're like, well, I was fine until you did that thing. I was fine until
yep,
you did that. And so, we point external. But the reality
yeah,
is, and the offering I want to say is, no, it was inside of you. Like they just revealed what was there. It's like the weather revealing that these seeds were there. The seed was already planted. And so you need to look at that and go, what is that? Right? Is that I never feel heard? Is that this feeling of unworthiness that I hold? Is that
yeah,
the fear of abandonment? Like it's a deep question. But if you allow life, every moment, every interaction, it's teaching you, it's teaching you, it's teaching you. And so you can get rid of these things because we don't want to hold on to those seeds. They're pulling you down, you know?
yeah. Yeah, and I love the way that you frame that. And we do that a lot. Like you trigger me, that's the pointing. And I like for me, this same analogy is it's like orange juice, right? If you squeeze an orange, what do you get? You get the orange juice because that's what's inside of it. So it's like, yeah, it might be your trigger, so to speak, but that's what's in there.
Yeah, exactly. And the trigger's the teacher. If you allow it to be otherwise, and you'll start to realize this is what I learned. I was seeing the same patterned reactions come out of myself, like totally different people, situations, whatever. And I'd have this internal response. And I'm like, oh my God, there is there is my feeling of not feeling worthy. Like that was one thing I had to work through. And so it's like, wow. And it sneaks up in the sneakiest of ways. But it's like if you have this awareness, you can start to see, no, that's my orange juice. Like that's getting squeezed out of me. Like, okay, well, if I want that to change, I need to get rid of the orange. If I don't like that, then let's remove the orange. Like let's get rid of that thought process that's there.
And yeah, and the trigger is the teacher I've never heard that, but I love it. And that's a real quick way to reframe, right? To
For
real
sure.
real quick.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good one.
And like the people around us are our best teachers, like loved ones, colleagues, like they're around us the most. They know our buttons, they push them. And it's
Right?
like, be grateful. The yogis have this saying that I love. They say, groups of souls travel together lifetime to lifetime to be weather patterns for one another in order to reveal these things. And so it's like all of a sudden you realize, wow, my sister who constantly is a trigger to me and she is playing the role that I need her to play so that I can actually deal with this stuff inside of me. She is
Mm.
my master teacher. Like, thank goodness for her. And it totally will change your dynamic with people. Like if there is someone
Yeah.
that triggers you to no end, they are your teacher, and just look at what it is inside of you that's getting triggered. And I promise you, you're going to be liberated.
Oh, wow. Um, so all right, so now kind of a morbid question, but this is fun for me. I always ask this.
Okay.
When you were talking with your therapist, and your therapist was like, oh, there's a lesson that'll come out of this. When you were in it, like when you were really in it, and for other folks that I've talked to, like for me, when I was in that really dark place, I was so in tune and so disciplined and trying to do all the things right and being kind and being patient and all of these things that now I almost long for that again. Like, now I've gotten a little less disciplined, a little further from it. And I wish I would have paid more attention, for lack of a better term, I wish I would have paid more attention to the pain. Can you relate to that?
I can. I had a gratitude journal during one of my darkest times. That first year, it was suggested to me to do one. And it was like, because of that, every single day, I went through the exercise of going back through my day and only thinking about the good. What was I most grateful for? And so when I reviewed my day, anything negative just went away. And I just looked for that. And, now it actually did rewire my brain. So for a very long time, that's where I stayed it. But I do sometimes see myself moving a little more, towards it. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not going there. But it's beautiful. I think that, I don't know, I look at it like, the yin yang symbol.
Uh-huh.
So I think about these times that we went through. It's like we're on the black side, it's like it's a dark time, it's nighttime. But you think about like a seed, it needs darkness to grow. Like it needs the time to germinate. It needs the time to send the roots down before it can even think about going into the light because it's got to get stronger. And so it will happen like for both of us. The roots went down, we got stronger, we did these disciplines, we got stronger, boom, all of a sudden we came out. Now we're in the light and we're enjoying it. And we're like a beautiful tree now. But just know that the dark is coming again. Like it cycles. That's the yin yang. Like that's the polarity of like just like we have day, we have night. And so we're going to keep having lessons to learn and keep going into these darker spaces. And so I would say like it's going to swing equal and opposite both ways. I know. I've been through
Yeah.
challenges since that. And it's like each time you're stronger, you're clearer, and you go, okay, I'm in this darkness for a reason. Let's not resist it. Let's see what I'm supposed to be learning here. Let's maybe get back to some of those things that I learned before and forgotten.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. But I like the way you phrase that. I know that we all know the clouds always part, right? It's, and you don't know, if you don't know darkness, you don't know light. You don't know sad, you don't know happy. So um all right, I know you have a new YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just started it. I've been through a lot over the last decade with all of this, and I've been wanting to kind of put things in a way to support others on their journey. And so on this channel, there will be some conversations, like shorter videos about some of the topics we've talked about today, even to help nurture people's soul. And then some very practical things that you can do. So there is a section to help calm your mind. So breath techniques, little things you can do, and understanding the why behind why you do them is huge. But little things to do to help you kind of center, get out of your thoughts. And then my favorite piece of the channel, and it just launched, so mostly what's on there right now is this, are techniques to help you go into your body and learn to release trauma. Because the truth of the matter is, these triggers, those seeds I was talking about, they manifest in our body. And like wherever you have pain or discomfort, like that's that's where stuff is living. And I teach you how to go in there and get rid of it. The body is the subconscious, and it is a very powerful practice. It is soul level healing, on my opinion. And I wanted to put it out there for people to have access to. So that has
Oh,
started. It's called Heal with Danielle. And I'd love for people to head on over. And if I can help, I'd love to.
perfect. So then what's something that your future self, we're talking about seeds, right? What seed are you planting now? Something that you want to look back and say, yep, that was a seed moment for me.
Mm. I think right now, one of the biggest things that I'm trying to cultivate is remembering I have the right to action, but not to the results of my action.
Ah, okay.
And, and it's a big lesson to let go of the results and just to trust, because I try to like make things happen. And that I'd say is the lesson that hopefully my future self has learned, is living a bit more peacefully than myself is right now.
So trying to put myself in your position, dark room for a year. I mean, I can see it, but I can't really empathize. Um, but I have a question. Was there ever a time, did you have like a piece of art or a poem or not a song because you didn't listen to music, did you?
Mm-mm, no.
Anything that could distract you or anything that when you were in it, you could look at a piece of art or read a poem or anything like that that
It's a good
centered you?
question. I had this book. Gosh, I haven't thought about this in forever. So I had a book that I asked friends and family members to just write things like when they were in difficult times, like what was their touchstone. And
Yeah.
it's bringing tears in my eyes. I literally haven't thought this forever. So they wrote different things like on each page, and I had like my grandparents wrote things, like friends of mine wrote things, and so I would come to that. I would look at that because it was like whisperings into my heart from them when I needed it. And they were all different, different sayings, different poems, different whatevers. And it was the things that had resonated with them. And those were like, oh, they were so beautiful for me. I'm so happy you asked that question because that was exactly what it was.
That is so cool. Wow, that gives me chills. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um, and speaking of whispering, if you could whisper a message to yourself before your accident,
Mm.
tell yourself.
I would say, Danielle, what is this challenge making possible? To just get myself to look with a little bit of a different perspective at what was being offered here. That is what I would whisper to myself.
Wow. Yeah, it's like the beauty of hindsight, right? The benefit of hindsight. We learn so much after we're through it.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Is the YouTube channel the best way for people to get in touch with you?
All my info is there on the description. So yeah, I think you can find me on the different social platforms, my email address, all that stuff will be linked into that YouTube.
Perfect. Anything we need to cover that I missed?
No, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for you and your genuine questions. And hopefully this reaches some ears of people that needed to hear it. And whatever I can do to support, I'm happy to.
Yeah, this has been great. Thanks for being so open. Uh,
Hmm.
all right, this has been All Can, No Can. I'm your host, Jeff Luther. If this resonates with you, please follow the YouTube channel. Go find Danielle. If it sounds like to me she's pretty willing to be to be an ear, to be a listener, and of course to help when and where she can. And if you'll click that like button below and pass this on, I can't wait to see you next time. This is All Can, No Can't. Thanks for listening to All Can, No Can't. If today's episode resonated with you, remember it's not about the chaos you face. It's about how you choose to take back control. It's about finding that one small can in the can't you're given and grinding it down. Find your angle, carve your place out in the world, and get the fucking win. Do that by finding what you can do and not listening to what you can't. You choose. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more people that are ready to embrace the all-can mindset. And it lets them know there's someone that's willing to walk with them no matter how dark the path gets. You can find me on Insta at JDLuther 2.0 and allcan_no-can't. This is where I share more tips, stories, inspiration to help fuel your journey. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries, breaking limits, proving to yourself that anything is possible, even when you're told it isn't. Remember, life's not about can't. It's all can. Go prove them wrong.